So this is Freewell's new anamorphic conversion lens system for smartphones, the 3-in-1 Pro Cine Anamorphic. And we're actually going to be giving away one of these to a lucky Patreon member, so stay tuned to find out how you do that. Great cinematography often involves adding character to the image. And it's sometimes known as like dirtying up the frame. And if you haven't actually seen my video on this yet, I do recommend it for taking your videography to a more professional level. One of the characteristics of anamorphic lenses is the distinct horizontal lens flares. And when these kind of anamorphic lenses were first created for smartphones, they mainly had blue streak flares, and then we had golden streak lenses, and then finally we had the neutral streak lenses. Freewell has designed a system in partnership with Divish, which combines all three styles. So the setup comes with 3 different flare modules, and once you have the lens mounted to the main lens of your phone, you just press the button to release the module and then slide in a different color. And so that is actually a pretty original bit of innovation from Freewell and from Steven. So the lens uses a 17mm screw mount, which is pretty standard, and it can be used with any case which has a 17mm thread. And if you want to mount a filter on top, then this is 58mm, which is a pretty standard size for filters. And if you have different sizes, you can just use step-up rings. So if you want to put an ND here and maybe a mist filter, then you can use standard filters. So there's a nice sturdy cap for each end, and they have a magnet on them so that they stick together. And when you want to put them back on, it's just easier to find them. It's all in one place. And there's also a nice sturdy carry case as well as a belt clip. Now, as they have this kind of half barrel shape, anamorphic lenses have to be correctly aligned. So what you want is that the barrel is going to be standing upright. So all you've got to do is make sure that the lens is correctly aligned and then tighten up the screws. And this just ensures that the lens stays securely locked while you're filming. Now, this is especially true if you're using a variable ND filter, isn't it? Because when you twist it to adjust the strength of the ND, then quite often you're moving the anamorphic lens and then it starts to go wobbly. So it's going to shift out of alignment and it doesn't look right. And actually, to help you set up the alignment correctly, they've got a spirit level on both ends, both on the top and the bottom of the lens. So we've got currently 2 options. There's the 1.33 times and the 1.55 times. And this is all metal. It's very solidly constructed, which makes it nice and durable. But on the downside, it's going to be a little bit heavy here. So the lens with the module in it comes to 120 grams when I weighed it anyway. And obviously once you put a filter on there, it's going to be even heavier, isn't it? So basically this means that you're not going to be able to use this lens with a small gimbal. So this is the Hohem iSteady N7, and it does cope with the weight. There's just enough room to adjust the arm and enough to balance it out. But if you look at the little screen here, you can see that the tilt axis, it's not perfect because it's yellow. It's still okay, it still works. And that's because the weight is on one side of the tilt axis, so it's kind of pulling down, pulling forward and down. And if you want to add filters too, then you're probably going to need a bigger gimbal, maybe like a hybrid or a regular camera gimbal. The thing with anamorphics is you really do need the camera to be stable, because if you use digital stabilization, either in camera or when you're editing, it all goes, horribly wobbly. It doesn't look good unless you want a sort of wobbly effect. So this is mounted to my iPhone 17 Pro on the main lens, and then using the Blackmagic camera to switch to the 1.33 times or 1.55 times D-squeeze. Now there is some vignetting on the sides. Personally, I think that's actually part of the character, but I know that some people don't really like character. Now if you prefer your images clean looking, I don't really recommend that you use any kind of conversion lens, to be honest, because they all introduce some kind of change, or you might call it a corruption. Although the amount that you get and the type of character or corruption is going to vary depending on the lens. So all conversion lenses are going to add things like edge softness. You're going to get chromatic aberration. You're going to get vignetting, barrel distortion, and ghosting sometimes. And, you know, even the lens flare is really a corruption of the image and actually used to be seen as a flaw. Decades ago, if a camera operator got a lens flare in a clip of film, you know, they'd just throw it away because they'd think it was unusable. It was only later, really, that filmmakers started to see it as something cinematic. I mean, as these lenses' unique selling point is the 3-in-1 lens flares, you know, with the different colors, we should really focus on those. From a quick test that I did yesterday, I found them to have their own kind of character. The flares come with some extra glare and ghosting, which basically comes from light bouncing around inside the lens. So it's quite likely that the switchable modules cause this effect. And this is actually the whole image that I got from using the 1.55 times with open gate. So we could actually just simply crop out some of the vignetting and the ghosting if we don't like it. But like I say, it's all about the character. So when you choose a lens, you're choosing it for the character that it brings. And this is part of these lenses' character. Now, as a thank you to Video Creator Pro members on Patreon, we are going to be giving away one of the Freewell 1.33 times 3-in-1 anamorphic systems that are currently going for $299. So I'll leave a link in the description, just follow that and it'll explain exactly how to take part if you fancy it. But that's it for this video, so I hope you found it interesting, and it's a pretty cool little anamorphic system here, although it is a bit heavy. But if you don't mind that, then this could be the anamorphic for you.